We used to come out here for school trips. My classmates would swim out to that island and back again. I always stayed behind, trying to convince our teachers to give me extra homework.
I know the feeling. Many a time did I stay after class at the Jedi Temple, begging the masters to give me at least one more essay.
Absolutely! It was, I believe, the Mirialan politician, essayist, and historian, Dewarian Jibbo, who said, "Every person has two educations, one which he receives from others, and one, more important, which he gives to himself. I've long held the latter should be cultivated by the former."
Or that were always possible. When my mom and I worked for...
You mean when you worked for Watto?
I'm sorry. It's just, those were difficult times. I'd look out at the galaxy and wish the Jedi would swoop in and save us. I suppose, in the end, I got half of what I wanted.
Anakin, I can understand if you don't want to talk about a time in your life when you were
Yes,
deprived of...
when I was deprived of even the simple pleasures of essays and exams. I shouldn't mind. I'm not supposed to have attachments at all. It's like Master Yoda is always telling us. Another word for weaknesses. Attachments is. Then he usually begins a lecture on the importance of prenuptial agreements before passing out.
Honestly, and I mean no disrespect, but Master Yoda has long seemed to me the kind of being who read...
Sorry. Please continue.
The passage in Thus Spoke Zarabarb, wherein the old woman says to Zarabarb, "You are going to women? Do not forget the whip," and thereafter decided to orient his life around that, on the misconception that this is a view endorsed by Nietzscheisius. Though, in general, I'm not sure Yoda is strictly the healthiest being.
Nonsense! Of course, I was worried myself, but as a youngling, I distinctly recall running to tell Master Windu, and when he came into the lecture hall, he muttered something under his breath like, he couldn't at least keep himself from doing this around the fucking younglings! Then took us all for lightsaber instruction, while mentioning we should let Yoda sleep, because he'd been working extra hard lately. So, you see, Yoda was actually just peacefully...
I meant viewing attachments as weaknesses, but the rest sounds... Actually, as long as you're happy with it, that's the main thing.
Quite! It's certainly a treasured memory. I have great respect for Master Windu's lightsaber skills, to say nothing of his lecturing abilities. One day, I dream of writing a thesis, inspired by his lectures, to show how influential to me he's been.
I'm sure he'd love that.
I can but dream.
I like to imagine his beaming smile as I deliver my thesis. The whole council hanging on my every word.
I'm sure they'd leap at the chance to hear your thesis.
Many is the time I've dreamed of standing before the council and giving a thesis defense that just kills.
Oh, I have no doubt you'd knock them dead.
That's very kind of you to say. Sometimes I worry the council is shorter on academic inclination than I expected, so it's nice to know there are those who would support my goals in that area. But to return to the point, when I was employed by Watto, opportunities for classroom-based learning were non-existent, so I'd give myself little assignments.
Like 3PO.
Exactly. Just like any other child, I had school and homework to look forward to every day. But in many ways, it was better. After all, I even got to grade myself and come up with my own syllabus.
What grade did you end up with for 3PO?
Can't you tell? It's in his name, C. Oh, sure, he functioned okay, but his purpose was to help my mom around the house, and a protocol droid isn't best suited to that. Plus, he lacked plating, so sand kept getting in and messing everything up. This is why I don't like sand. It's so coarse, and therefore so damaging to the internal mechanisms. If it weren't for sand getting everywhere, he'd at least be B3PO.
That's pretty rough of your teacher to mark you down so heavily. I know I'd be irritated.
I didn't know being soft got you far in politics, Senator.
Smoothing things over is always an important skill, on Naboo or elsewhere. I recall one time, as a child while working as a junior senatorial advisor, I was on a trip to Coruscant and met Master Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Oh dear.
He decided to lecture us on the importance of enhanced interrogation techniques and why we should never outlaw them.
Yes, I believe he does that with all the younglings interested in politics. It's an issue very close to what passes for his hearts.
He was just expounding on a thought experiment, namely the idea of a ticking time bomb and the necessity of extracting the location of it from a would-be terrorist through the use of a particularly graphic torture method, when Master Kit Fisto intervened. He did it with such tact and grace. The way he so smoothly diverted the conversation. You'd have no idea that seconds earlier, Master Mundi was detailing the utility of combining flesh-eating daggerworms and genitalia with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for that rare breed of person Jango Fett would cross the street to avoid.
He can be quite the wordsmith, perhaps second only to Master Coleman Kakaj himself. I heard he once convinced Master Yoda to cut down to a mere 5 bottles of Kawakian rum a day.
I believe I recall that time. That was shortly before Yoda attended that rehabilitation facility on Nephrin.
Indeed, I recall his famous speech to the patients there. Cured, I am. Be like me, you can, with hard work and discipline. Then he passed out because it turned out he'd smuggled an entire case of bitter fruit liquor in, and had ingested the entirety of it through every orifice, not 2 minutes before the speech.
Leaving aside the question of whether addicts can indeed be cured, it was a little presumptuous to assume it was all behind Master Yoda, especially after only 2 days.
I suppose Master Windu got a little ahead of himself, encouraging Yoda to give that speech. But how could he have known he'd smuggle in all those narcotics?
True. And Yoda, following his resuscitation, then using a candy cannon to fire those assorted narcotics into the crowd of recovering addicts, was likewise hard to foresee.
Apparently, he was really determined to stop them being such nerds. Odd he didn't just use the Force to throw the drugs, though I suppose that would be less theatrical.
It was also a shame Palpatine had arranged for an entire film crew to be on site to see Master Yoda's speech, and broadcast it to the entire galaxy live.
Yes, but after hearing how excited Master Windu was, I suppose he must have had high hopes. Sadly, I rather suspect the Order's reputation fell substantially that day. Still, the only way to go now is up, unless a galaxy-wide war breaks out and the Jedi are repeatedly found to violate the Yavin suggestions.
Don't you mean the Yavin Code?
Is that not what I said?
Either way, when I think of the Jedi, it's the verbal skill of masters such as Coleman, Fisto, and T to which I've always aspired. Which actually leads into my next idea.
Do go on.
Well, I've had a little time to think about the Skywalker Core 4 and have some points for your consideration.
I'm not sure even Master Windu's famed lectures captured my attention more thoroughly.
And I propose we discuss them through the medium of strip debate.
I have never heard a more appealing idea in my life.
Really? What about the idea of writing a thesis analyzing perhaps the single most famous tale in the galaxy?
And you're certain you're not an angel?